What's up, everybody, and welcome to the show. So on today's show, I have a guest that's coming on who's been in the industry a very long time. His name is Keevin Hardiman. He has his BS in exercise science. He's an online training and nutrition coach. He's an online group and personal training coach as well. And he owns 2 Nutrishops in Orange County, California. Please welcome my guest. So, hey, we're going to start off with the fire round. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So, would you rather lose all your hair or gain 50% more hair overall on your body?
I would probably want to lose all my hair.
Okay. So, how much caffeine do you consume a day?
Oh, man. Do I have to admit that?
Yeah, you do.
It's about 700 milligrams.
What? You're on this guy's level.
I know.
Hey, what's that coffee called? A death cup or something? Death Wish? Have you tried that?
I have not. What?
Yeah.
I may have to try that one out.
So this guy, I was on a podcast I was recording, and he's like, try a sip. And I was just like, hey, I don't feel good, dude. It's not working right now. What's going on? What? Did you go to the hospital?
No.
Oh, yeah, this guy's tolerance is like out the window, dude. I drink 100 and I'm fine. If I drink 300, I'm losing my shit. Like I can't. And I'm small, so like anything else like above that, it screws me up.
Oh, man. I tell everybody, coffee makes like everybody else safe. It's like
Okay, next question. Something you could eat for a week straight.
That would probably be, I can eat fish a week straight.
Okay. Wake up by an air horn or a rooster?
Rooster.
Have you ever been woken up by a rooster?
Actually, our neighbors have some roosters in the backyard.
Really?
Yeah.
So my grandpa from my dad's side, he lives in East LA, and sometimes I would spend the night there when I was a kid. And dude, every morning at 2:30 or 3 o'clock a.m., it would just go off. And I'm like, no way. Like, dude, loud. I was so pissed. Favorite car?
I'm going to have to say a Lamborghini.
Ooh, import. Are women complicated?
I don't know the secret, so I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Favorite clothing brand that you like to wear?
We'll go Nikes.
Okay. Do you take a neck pillow with you on a plane?
Yes.
Okay. Ever stolen anything?
No.
Whoa. Okay. Last time going on 72 hours straight with no sleep?
That hasn't been since, college or maybe even high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I need my sleep. I'm a real big sleep person.
Worn socks with sandals?
All the time.
Would you rather fight Mike Tyson or Ali in their prime?
Mike Tyson.
What? Really?
Everybody compares me, like my demeanor and my look to Mike Tyson. So I would say like I would want to see like who would win off of that.
Okay. Dreamcast or Nintendo 64?
Nintendo 64.
Ask permission or beg for forgiveness?
Beg for forgiveness.
What? Dude, I'd ask for permission first. Screw that. It's a lot harder to beg for forgiveness.
Still be sorry and still get what you
Exactly.
want at the end of the day.
Yep.
It depends who you ask, though. Really?
Yeah, you can always do it.
You can always ask for forgiveness. You
Okay.
can't always get permission.
Oh, that's true. That is very true. Who inspires you?
Oh man, there's a lot, but I would have to say of late, it's gonna be Will Smith.
Okay. Why? Why do you say him?
Just his way of thinking about things, having like philosophies and just like who he has as who he looks up to. Like I want to get to that stature.
Right. Yeah, he's very motivational in a way, and just kind of, he reminds me a lot of like Gary Vee in
True.
a way.
Yeah.
About his demeanor, the way he carries himself, just always just on the go, go, go. Very motivational. He kind of pumps me up too a little bit, you know? Okay, so if you had a child, which you do, would you want them to be the most popular kid in their school?
No.
Okay. Lion or tiger?
Tiger.
Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant?
Kobe Bryant.
Oh, okay. Heat or cold weather?
Heat.
Okay. Last question. If the toilet paper roll is really low but not out, do you replace it or leave it for someone else?
Leave it for someone else.
You're going to leave somebody else to change that? Oh, man. Good gosh. That's funny.
There's still a little bit left on there. So.
I hate when that happens. Like, no, okay, freaking, I'm just going to let it out. There's been times where people have left me a small sliver of freaking toilet paper, and I'm like, oh shit, what do I do? And I have to like maneuver around. I don't know if this happens to you guys, but it's happened to me plenty of times. I fucking hate it. It's my worst nightmare.
Exactly.
Well, what do you do?
Dude,
What do you do?
you scream for someone to get
Yeah, exactly. That's
Well, what if you're like at like Walmart, or if you're at a 24 or LA Fitness?
I check that before I go in there.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you got to check before, like public, you got to check.
You always have to check. You can't ever be exposed like that.
That is funny. That's happened to me once. I won't tell you that story though. All right. Yeah. No, luckily there's like enough, but I'm like, shit, I had to go into the other stall and like use that toilet paper. I was so pissed. I was just so pissed. Anyways, hey man, it's good to have you on finally.
Yeah, thanks for having me on too.
Appreciate it. So last time you couldn't come on because your son was in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
He's playing football?
Yes.
Okay. How old? You said he's 10 years old?
He just turned 10 last Saturday.
Happy late birthday.
Thank you.
What's his name?
Carson.
Okay. And has he played sports all of his life? Or
For the most part, since he turned 4, we had him in like the local YMCA, youth sports, and then kind of just developed from there. We didn't even know like he had a really good talent. And we just threw him into like this recreational soccer. And he actually got recruited to go to the club league.
okay.
Or the club level, I should say. And he dominated there. So he just was really fast for his age. And then we just had to work on his footwork skills.
Which
Yeah.
you come into play with that, huh?
Yeah, well, for me, like I'm not big on soccer, but I'm big on agility, athletics. So I helped him with that. And then I have some friends and things like that were able to help him with his actual footwork on soccer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have 2 other sons, right?
Yes.
Okay. What are their names and how old are they?
Keevin is
Keevin.
my middle child, and he just turned 6 in June. And then I have a little one named Crew.
Okay.
And he is about to turn 1 at the end of this month.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Sort of newborn, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool, man. How does it feel to have 3 kids kind of? They're just like, the way that I look, I don't have any, but the way I would picture is just they're 3 little yous, half of you and half your wife, you know? So what's that like as a father, just to kind of like, when you're with them and hanging out with them,
Like, honestly, like hanging out with them, it's a true joy. Like, don't get me wrong, no matter how much anybody complains or anything like that, like at the end of the day, like it's amazing. But like when you're having, it's scary as well because you got to look after another human being. And that's one of the hugest things that like I cherish the most, but I want them to grow up with like so much morals and expectations in life too, and I want to set something for them that I didn't have.
right.
Yeah.
I think that's all anybody wants for their child as far as a father or mother, kind of basically to grow up better than where they started, or to get farther in life than where you are. Even if you are far in life, you want them to excel more and be more, so it's always that, hey, you need to be one more step kind of thing.
Exactly.
So how do you, like, because we were talking about this earlier, how do you juggle, because you own 2 Nutrishops, you do online training, you're a one-on-one trainer, I think you're a group trainer as well, and you have a family. So like, how do you put the puzzle pieces together and make everything fit?
I will say this, that's always been a struggle in life, but I have to commend my wife because she kind of holds everything together when I'm off doing something else. So, and she keeps me on track with where I need to be and who I need to talk to, as well too. So like she truly, like, you got to have a strong woman to be able to
Right.
juggle everything that I'm doing and still have time for that. So when I'm with my wife and kids, I give them 100% of my attention. But when I'm at work, I give my work 100% of my attention. So like I kind of juggle it like that and have to have those on and off switches.
Okay. Well, I think that's important too. You have to, again, find a partner who is strong enough to handle that.
Yeah.
And as far as your wife, you guys, it looks like, or it sounds like you guys are working as a solid team. So I think as far as if that goes well, then both of you guys will succeed well in life too. Because a lot of parents, kind of like you, dad is super busy, but the mom isn't really, she's not there, but she wants something different, So what do you, as a father, as a business owner, and doing your training and watching your kids, what advice do you have to the fathers out there that are entrepreneurs and just trying to juggle everything with a wife and kids and stuff like that?
It's really looking down, and I've kind of going back to where I'm at to where I was. Like before I owned the shops and everything like that and came back to California, I actually owned a gym, and I was a competitive CrossFitter. And I was in the gym 4 to 5 hours a day, and a lot of my time was training.
Mhm.
And that was something that I had to look at my values to see like what was my 5 core values that was the most important to me. And as I was getting my kids, like working out wasn't so like high on the list. It started getting lower and lower. So like talking with my coach, it was just like, you got to change something or have something a little bit different. So that kind of opened my eyes to be like, all right, I need to set priorities and what are my values and what am I going to cherish? So like for anybody who's that entrepreneur that wants to have a family, is making sure your core values fall in line of what you're doing. And that's the main thing.
Okay. What were your core values when you were training?
When I was like competing or
Right.
So
well, then and now.
So it was like making it to regionals was number 1.
Okay.
Then it was God. Then it was family. And then it was work. And then it was money.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
like that all changed. Like now it's like family. Then it's God. Then it's work. So
Right.
like it's totally different. Like fitness is number 5 to me. Like if I miss a day, like this week, my body was just beat the heck. After like traveling to Arizona and then the time change, I was just like, and I was tired. I was falling asleep on the couch at 7:30 at night without getting a full dinner. So I knew
Right.
like I couldn't do that much in training or I wouldn't be as effective. So I took the time to get that rest in. And whereas the younger me, I would have just been like powering through it, just didn't care and just like knew I had to get a workout in.
Well, how old are you now?
36.
You don't look it. You look good, man.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, I think that's it too. Because I'm 28, and there's been times where I've stayed up 72 hours or 36 or whatever the case might be, and I'm fine. But I've noticed as I've gotten older, I can't really keep up that pace for a long period of time anymore. I still feel tired at 7:30 sometimes, and I don't even have kids, So I'm wondering what I'll feel like 5 or 6 years down the line at 7:30, so.
It's all about the recovery, man. Like I'm a big believer in your recovery is going to be what keeps you young.
Right.
Is that almost that like fountain of youth.
Right. Well, I think a lot of what, I'm not going to say a lot, but some people miss is the recovery too, because as coaches, you see a lot of stuff going around like supplements and you need a lot of protein. Like that stuff, it helps. But what a lot of people overlook is the recovery process, how your sleep schedule is, how your stress levels are, your stress management, what are you doing throughout the day. If you're not eating enough, that is a key factor as well. So I think, I don't know what your take on it is, but for me, it's all about recovery as well. Because if you're going kind of like 72 hours straight and you're not getting any rest, well, your workouts are going to suck. Exactly. They're not going to be as good. You're not going to be as efficient. You're not going to push as much weight. You're not going to squat as low as you can. You're going to be tight all over, and you'll crumble down, So I think as a coach too, recovery is very, very important. If you don't get sleep, miss a workout. Like you said, it's not that big of a deal as long as you're on track.
Exactly. But with this industry, with especially males, it's ego.
Yeah.
And that's hard you're fighting an inner battle with yourself.
Right.
As well. So like it's truly trying to get to know yourself a little bit more. And I think that comes with experience.
Right.
So
going back, I'm going to take it all the way back for Keevin right now. You have a BS in kinesiology, correct?
Correct.
Where'd you get your BS in?
UNK, University of Nebraska at Kearney.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how did this all happen from that? Like, take me through that whole process. So, dude, we got a lot of time.
Dude, that's a long journey.
Let's go through this journey together, man.
All right.
So take me through that journey from, okay, you got your BS, and then now what? Like, what was ahead for Keevin?
So pretty much, I didn't even finish my my bachelor's for the first. It was almost a year. I entered the NFL draft.
What?
And got undrafted. So then I dropped down to play arena to get some more footage to show NFL scouts. And then from there, I went to Spokane, Washington, and played for the Spokane Shockers.
Okay.
And then ended up getting traded all the way down to Louisville, Kentucky. And played for the Fire. And then I got recruited to go play in a CFL. So I did that for about a couple of months and then got cut from there.
What NFL team were you going for? Or were you trying to get drafted to?
Pretty much anyone who would pay me is what I wanted. Like, if I had a choice, actually, I would have picked the Rams. Like, that was my team growing up. Even though they were in St. Louis at the time.
Right. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
I know.
That's when they had Marshall Faulk and Kurt Warner.
Yeah. Little was actually my idol for like football. Like,
no way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I truly wanted to like imitate that because he was like similar stature to myself and played the same position.
What position did you play?
I played DN and like an outside rushing linebacker.
Okay.
Yeah. So after the CFL, like I had nowhere else to go. So I was just like, I got to finish. Like I was debating like, should I fully pursue more football or should I go back to school?
Right.
And just having a long talk with my grandmother, like she was just like, no one's really like actually graduated from college in our family. She was just like, you got to graduate. So like she kind of like laid the guilt trip on me a little bit.
Right.
So like I ended up going back to college and I did student teaching with the strength and conditioning team down there while I finished up. So once I graduated, I was actually, I found a job as a head coach in Massachusetts, Pittsburgh, Massachusetts, at a private high school, like a prep academy. Did that for 6 months. And then I was just like, all right, I'm going to go back and and see if I can get some work in Nebraska. Because I loved Massachusetts, but it wasn't technically, I didn't love the East Coast so much.
Not a lot of people do, I noticed.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're from the West Coast, you don't really like so much of the East Coast and vice versa.
Right.
I know a couple of people that came down from the East Coast and are living here now and kind of like it, but I don't know. The people are different a little bit.
Well, how? Different how?
Well, every time you go out, it's the bar. Like I was
The
like
bar?
right outside of Boston.
Oh,
Yeah,
got
so-
it. Okay.
So it was like a 30-minute drive to Boston. But went to a Fenway game, so that was nice. Yeah. So went back to Nebraska. Kind of hung out with some friends for a while down there while I kind of looked for a job, and that's where I like actually met my wife. And then
wow, okay.
yeah. And she actually found me my next career, like where I actually went to go work as a manager at Anytime Fitness. I didn't think I would get into the public sector. I was still
Really?
I was still like more like university trying to get into that.
Right.
But I ended up just like kind of like, I called it at the time settling down, but not knowing what would fold out. I created like my own little like program in fitness over there. That was
Got it.
like pretty cool.
Mhm.
Where I was like the first like technically Anytime Fitness that incorporated like more group classes and worked behind the scenes with Anytime Fitness to like the corporate office to like and to bring out more group setting like small group training.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got
so-
it. Yeah.
Yeah, so like we were doing that aspect of it, and then I know small group training was way before that, but
Right.
but for like that big of a corporation to actually roll it out on a larger scale, like I was part of the forefront movement on that,
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
and then we ended up kind of creating our own like turning that into CrossFit and having our own CrossFit section inside the Anytime Fitness.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I actually was there for 9 years and
At Anytime Fitness.
yeah, at Anytime Fitness. And 5 of those years I was able to own it. So that was pretty cool. Like growing up into that role and having that much
Experience.
and
Okay.
responsibility too.
Well, I bet it's a lot of responsibility. So what is, because since that's a corporate gym, I'm going to stop you right there.
Oh, yeah.
Since that's a corporate gym, it's run a lot differently than a private gym, but it's a franchise. So how do you go about running a place like that? Do you have to kind of jump through more hoops, or like, because it's yours, but it's technically not yours.
Right.
So I don't know how do they do things as far as
So
rules and regulations?
they incorporated a lot more rules and regulations over the years. But since I got away with almost anything I wanted to because where I was located at.
Oh,
So
got it.
they said they would come and check me out, but they never did.
Sounds like a corporation. I'm not bashing on anybody, but that sounds like a typical corporation.
Exactly. But it was fun. You know, we had to pay some extra royalties, and that's kind of why I wanted to get out of the Anytime Fitness. It was just like too much to the corporation where I wasn't feeling like they were providing enough for me.
Oh,
You know.
got it. Yeah. Okay. And then I'm going to rewind you back to, you met your wife in school.
Yeah.
Is that okay? How did you?
Yeah.
What was your guys' first meet? Because I want to get to this part.
Our first meet was at a friend's wedding. We had mutual friends, but truly, I went to this wedding to actually hit on Miss Nebraska.
That is great. Oh my God. What's your wife's name?
Kayla.
Shout out to Kayla. That is crazy. Okay, and so you went to this wedding, and then what happened?
She actually hit on me.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
she picked me up that night.
You were going there for one thing, and she was
Yeah.
going there for another.
Exactly.
Okay. And then from there, you guys just kind of hit it off.
Yeah,
huh?
we did. Yeah, it was just not the cliche love at first sight, but
Right.
yeah, it was like we we were such polar opposites that we like really connected with each other. So that was pretty cool. Yeah.
I think that's very important. Like, it's funny how that works, right? It's like you kind of have every person, and I'm not saying like nobody, but every person generally has that idea of their significant other, what they look like, what they're going for, right? And it's funny when we just get hit like in the side of the face with something that we don't expect, but usually it works out better than we intended it to. So it's pretty cool how that works. Usually polar opposites work very well together, you know? And you guys have been married for how long?
We've been married for 6 years, but been together a decade.
What?
Yeah.
What's your guys' secret? I want the world to know, man. Divorce rates are high these days.
I know.
Like,
hey, we survived COVID and we're...
yeah, Jesus Christ. Like right now, you should write a book.
No, it's honestly, it's a partnership. And I tell everybody, a relationship, you have to work at it. It's a job itself, you know? So like
Right.
if you don't go to work or if you go to work and you're just like, God, I hate this job. I don't want to be here. Like it's not going to work out. But if you come in it knowing that it's going to be evolving and changing as you go. And like, as we grow as people, we're going to change and evolve too. So like, you got to have open communication with each other about that too.
So adaptation, both
Yes.
together at the same time.
Exactly.
I think some people don't like to change. Some people like to stay the same
Ex-
too. So that's
Mhm.
probably a pretty key role in a relationship, right?
It is. It is.
Okay. Okay. So after that, then you guys met Anytime Fitness, and then what after Anytime Fitness?
Pretty much after that, we moved back to California to like essentially help out with my grandmother and my sister and everything like that. So I wanted to be closer to my side of the family. And so once we moved back, I found a job at 24, and I was actually just the fitness manager. And so I was the fitness manager for Lakewood and Cerritos. And that was actually, I stepped down from there when I purchased the Nutrishop in Newport. So I just became a master trainer there.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And then what was that process like, purchasing a Nutrishops?
It was actually a lot easier than I thought it would be. It was fun, actually.
Really?
Like, yeah. I loved all the negotiation. I loved the training for it too. Like the people that I met there, it was just like a whole different, brighter side type deal.
So where was that one located? The Nutrishops, the very first one?
The very first one was in our old location on 1696 Newport Boulevard, like right by, right next to Juju Bar and that Starbucks.
Okay.
That dreaded, awkward little like.
Yeah, I know where that's at.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're off from there.
So we moved that location to East 17th, where it's across from. Do you know where the Wild Goose is?
Yeah, wait, I've heard of that. I don't know where it is.
It's right on 17th next to Playa Mesa Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, I've heard of that too. Okay, so you guys are right there?
Yeah, we're right across the street from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so after the first one, what made you want to open a second one?
I loved the first one so much, and I was just it was kind of crazy because I did it during COVID.
What?
Yeah. But it was just the perfect time, perfect deal. And it made sense. It was only technically 4 miles away from my other shop. So it wasn't anything that I had to commute far from, that I can still invest attention in both. And a lot of my customers like live right in the middle. So they either go to either or. So like I get to actually see my clients and customers, no matter if they come to the Newport or the Huntington Beach store.
Oh, that was smart.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so what do you, as far as owning two shops, how hard is that? Because you got to keep juggling going to both
Yeah. So,
locations, right?
yeah.
People like calling out sick or someone not showing up for whatever reason. So like, how do you juggle between those two? Like, do you have a daily schedule of which one you go to every day, or?
So I try to actually, we do have a daily or weekly schedule, but I try to mix it up each week to where I focus my attention on. So like right now I'm focusing my attention more onto the Newport store just because we moved that location. But it's going to change next week where I'm going to focus in on Huntington Beach. So we can make sure that, like my biggest thing is I like to get involved into the community.
Right.
That's huge to me. Like if you don't really get invested in the community, like the community is not going to support you as well too.
Well, the community, how? Like, how do you get involved into the community?
Different aspects. I like to go to like I'm big on youth sports and youth athletes, so I like to go over to the high schools. And right now, it's kind of like
Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah. So, but it's just like letting them know that we're here and what we can be able to offer those youth athletes. Because like at the end of the day, when I first took over the Newport store, I won't say the school or anything like that, but I had about 5 different kids come over looking for test boosters. And they weren't more than 15 years old. And I was just like, why do you need a test booster? And they were just like, well, I just want to get big. And I was just like, well, you don't need that. You're already producing the max amount of testosterone at this age.
Yeah.
I was just like, I wish I had your testosterone right now. And they were just like, no, I heard it gets you jacked. I just want the shot. And I was just like, dude, like you probably don't love your love life outside of anything else. Because like when you get older, you're not going to have anything to show for it at the end of the day. Like you're going to have your test levels shot, and you're going to either have to rely on a shot to get
TRT.
Yeah, to get up just to even have fun with your girlfriend or wife later on in life.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to like. If you've seen a lot of the older bodybuilders, you can see some of that atrophy and just like what your body looks like after everything's said and done.
Well, you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger now, he looks like, I don't know what he looks like now. I think I saw a recent picture of him on Instagram, how he is, but you look at the transformation and it just looks horrible, you know? And it's sad to see that some of those kids, like, I mean, I don't know if you've done this, but I was at that age once and I was 17, 16, and I was buying everything like when Nutrition Zone was huge. Like I would go into Nutrition Zone and I would get everything off the shelf that HGH up when they sold that and everything, and like creatine and everything. Like, dude, I would spend $300 a month just so I can get jacked.
Yep.
You know, and it's sad to see kids now going into a shop, even though they're not even 15 years old, and they're already asking for that. I think they're just seeing that on social media too, of who's doing what and who's injecting what. Yeah, injections work, but at your age, you shouldn't be doing that anyways.
Exactly. Like, honestly, all it is with society today is that instant gratification. They don't know how long the process it took them just to even get to that point. They just want to look like that right here and now.
Yeah.
And that's not how it works, you know?
Yeah.
Or that's how it shouldn't work, because like the outcome of everything is just going to be horrible. I always tell everybody, you got to weigh your pros and cons. Like if you want to have like that look right here and right now, that's fine. You can do all that. But are you doing it as a career? Are you going to make money off of that? Or are you just doing it as a hobby just to show your friends what's up? You know, and then later on in life, you're not going to have anything to show for it and your body's just going to be wrecked.
Yeah. You're going to suffer in the long run. So,
exactly.
Like, yeah, you'll look great now, but go ahead and do whatever you want, right? Because I've had a few clients that ask me about that. I'm not going to say any names, but I've had a few clients ask me about that as well. I'm like, you can either do this right now, look great, but in the long run, the next 20 years, you're going to have to go through hell. Your body's going to have to go through hell. possible organ failure, kidney failure. A lot of things aren't going to work the same. You're going to have to go to a doctor. They're going to have to prescribe you on TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, and all this stuff just because 20 years ago, you're like, oh, I want to get super jacked and look good.
Exactly.
So are you really do you want to sacrifice that, or do you still want to look good at 70 years old naturally and have a grandchild and be like, my grandpa looks amazing. He can beat up your grandpa. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's sad. So what do you think? Because kids are asking you that. Do you get scared because your kids are around the same age too?
Right.
So how do you handle that? Do you see? I'm not saying do you see your kids and those kids, but how do you, as a father, how do you keep your kids away from that, like that sort of thing?
I have legit conversations with my kids. Like, everybody like says like my oldest kid can hold an adult conversation, and they're just like amazed by that.
That's cool.
Maybe it's because we didn't have any. We were the first of our friends to have kids, and he had to hang out with a lot of adults that he kind of learned so fast. But like, I truly like educate him, and I believe in education, because like when I was growing up, there was no education for me. Like I had to learn on my own and try to figure out what's good and what's bad, and that type of stuff. My parents didn't really know all about that, so like I want to be able to educate them and show them like the correct way or the way that you should be doing. And like if he chooses to do that route, I'll be okay with it as long as it's beneficial. If he's not doing it, if he's not making it a career, or like it's not going to help him out in the long run, there's no point.
Yeah.
You know.
So and that's the 10-year-old, right?
Yeah.
What about the two little ones too? When they see that too, because it trickles down. I have it's me, and then I have two younger brothers and a younger sister. So they look up to me as far as what I do,
right?
And they look at everything I do, and they want to do everything I do. You know. So do you instill that into your first son? So like, hey, you're leading the pack in a way, you know?
Yeah. I'm really more harder on my first son than my second son. And he noticed that one day, and he was just like, why don't you do that with him? And I was just like, I sat him down and I was just like, listen, I was just like, you're older than him. You know, you're going to be setting examples. He's looking up to you on what you're doing. So like, for example, just a small thing of like hitting, you know, like beating him up. I was just like, if you beat him up, what do you think he's going to do to his little brother? Yeah. You know, he's going to think that's what you have to do. You know, like I was just like, you have to like be the bigger person and use your words, talk about it, talk through it. Like, so it's just, it's literally a chain of reaction, but it's like being a parent and trying to figure that out there's no rule book on this at all. Trust me, I looked.
He looked on Google, on Amazon, like how to become the best parent possible. I think it's just a learn as you go thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's definitely a learn as you go experience. Like, I'm not going to say what I do is like completely correct. Somebody may have a better way, and that may work with them a lot more. But I'm just doing best that I can with the tools that I have, you know.
Right. With me too, I really had no direction as a kid because, I mean, so I don't know my dad really. My mom raised me, and then my grandfather and my grandmother raised me. But my grandpa was a workhorse, so he'd work 17 hours. So my mom and my grandmother raised me. So I didn't know really, like I was kind of like you. I had to grow up and kind of figure things out for myself. And I'm like, oh, damn, that's wrong. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, this is good. Okay. Like you kind of have to figure it out through life. And even at your age, you bump into new things. We're like, oh, okay, I guess I have to go this way, you know? And that kind of scares me too, because I mean, I'm not planning on having kids anytime soon, but for the people that are or that are talking about it, it's just generations are changing, right? Especially the newer generations too. So from where you were and where your son is now, how much, like, because you've seen it as a father and how you grew up, how much has everything changed?
Everything has changed way too much. Me and my wife were actually talking about this in the car. I put on I think it was an early 90s song. And my son was just like, Dad, turn this crap off. And I was just like, what? I was just like, this is a classic. And he was just like, no, you got to play the new songs. This is old. And I was just like, wow. I was just like,
what were you playing?
I think it was just like an LL Cool J song.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, Cool J.
Yeah, like I'm a 90s type of music.
Yep.
So I like a lot of like R&B, things like that.
Right.
But my son was just like, no, he wanted like some hard bass, and I was just like, dude, come on.
You guys fight on whoever's on the radio.
Exactly.
That's funny. So, yeah, it's crazy how things changed a lot. Well, it's just, I think kids are getting smarter too because of technology. So we didn't have that. We had books, and even then, books were outdated 20 plus years, you know? So we have these little things that we can stare at, and either some of my younger clients would be like, hey, this just popped in. I'm like, I didn't even know that, you know? So it's pretty crazy how generations have kind of progressed over time. But again, like you have your pros and cons. So there's too much information, but then there's too much bad information as well, you know? And we're kind of more brainwashed in a way to listen to the bad information that's put out there than more of the good information.
Yeah.
Your kids have phones?
No.
Whoa. What?
Yes. Yeah. No, they have electronic devices. And right now with everything going on, they have their lab books for school. But yeah, we decided on no phones. Like at the end of the day, they're with us like pretty much 90% of the time. Mm-hmm. The other 10% is they're with families that we know. So it's
there's no point.
There's no
so
point.
You and your wife both agree no phones, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you got to work as a team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You got to work as a team. Whoever's listening, that's good. Do they ever ask, or they're like, Dad, I want a phone? Like,
yeah. So last year, my 10-year-old,
right.
He asked for a phone. So what I did was I took an old cell phone case and I put coal inside of it and put it in a stocking.
What? That is great. Oh my God. What was his reaction from that?
It was just like, it was priceless because it was just like shock. Like,
that is awesome. Oh my gosh. When I could just imagine him taking out his stocking and be like, what the heck?
He was like super excited and then just opened up the case, and it was just like, it was just a good pause for a good minute. Like it wasn't like 30 seconds. It was like a minute.
He's trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
That is funny, man. Whose idea was that? You or your wife?
It was mine. My wife was like so against it. She was just like, you're so mean. Like she was just like, you can't do that. He's going to be traumatized.
Is there an age limit to where you'll give him phones, or it's just kind of like you're seeing where they go?
Seeing where they go, really. Once he starts like maybe going into sports or going places or driving somewhere where we need to get a hold of him faster, then that's probably where he's going to get the phone. But it has to be some more responsibility.
I think that's a good thing because first off, yeah, a phone's cool, but like you said, it's a responsibility as well. Kind of like, what are you doing with it? Especially with a kid. They don't know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
They don't know what information they're going by. If their friend tells them about a viral video, they're going to go to that. And then they're more influenced by their friends than parents or parents' friends, like aunts and uncles, family members, you know? So it is a responsibility. And I think, you know, do you think that, well, because I see kids now that are even 6 years old and they have a new iPhone 12. I'm like, wait, what? Or I've talked about this plenty of times on the podcast, and I'll still talk about it. I'll still go into restaurants, and you'll have maybe a 12-year-old kid or 10 or however old the kid might be. They'll be throwing a fit, and the parent just goes, Here you go. Here's an iPad. Here's a gaming system. Here's an iPhone. Just play this. And they're just hypnotized by it.
It's I'm not going to get you wrong. Like I will still do the.
You do that, huh?
Not to the extent where they're throwing a fit. Like, because I'm old school with my beliefs on like if you're throwing a fit, you're not going to get anything special.
Right.
And like I tell my kids, I was just like, if you embarrass me, I'll embarrass you.
How do you embarrass them?
I do believe in spankings,
Right.
but not. There's a fine line. You know,
Right.
there's like one good like, hey, like straighten up. But it's more all I have to do is really like my wife hates it because I just have to give them a look or start like giving them that talking to, and then
Yeah.
they straighten up. Where my wife is like they go crazy like when I'm not
Really?
around. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that's just more like I make them be like more respectable, like so much that they have to have that outlet on that.
Yeah, because I was talking to one of my coworkers. He has kids, and we were having a long conversation about it. And I'm like, it's pretty crazy. I don't know, maybe, dude. By the way, I'm talking. I might have a kid in the next 3 years. I don't know, but we were talking about that, and he's like, because I think I don't know where we were at, but we were somewhere, and we saw a family, and a man or a father gave his son an iPad, and he was just stuck there. And he's like, I would just let my kid cry. He's like, if they're uncomfortable, they're going to have to learn to be uncomfortable. They're going to have to learn that just because they throw a fit, that's not how life works. We're not going to give them a special treat or a special thing or an iPad or an iPhone just because something isn't going their way. That's not how life works.
Right.
And I think with society today too, I'm going to bring in the participation trophy stuff. It's like if your team doesn't do well, guess what? You lost. Right?
Exactly.
If you're throwing a fit, you shouldn't be throwing a fit. Like, have your little temper tantrum, but you need to settle down. You need to learn how to be uncomfortable in that situation. You're not going to get something to gratify you in that being. Like, that's not how life works. And for parents to, I mean, I'm not bashing on them, but for the ones that always do that, the kid grows up and he or she isn't learning anything from that. He's thinking like, okay, as I grew up in college, if I throw a fit in college, it's a different kind of fit, but that kid is always going to think, I can get my way with everything because my parents set me up from way back when. Now, if I do something bad or I throw a fit, I can always get my way. I can get that instant gratification.
Yeah, that's that entitlement that everybody talks about. And I experienced that just even with hiring the people that I do. They're already feeling like they're entitled to either not do something or I'm not talking about the employees. But it's honestly like the people that I have now. I try to say that I vet pretty well. But they're really good at not having that entitlement and hard workers.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's what I always like to instill because that's part of my well-being. But like this new day and age, like with giving them the iPads, making it easier because like that's our society is like we don't want it hard, we want it super easy.
Dude, I can't stand that. I'm 28. I'm kind of the last of my generation, and I hate that. You know, luckily I was raised by my grandparents, by my grandmother. My grandfather was there as well, but he's super old school. He's like, if you suck, you suck. Like, that's just the way it is. And I learned the hard way, you know? It's like in sports, like team sports is different, but martial arts, you're one-on-one with somebody. If you don't beat them, you lost. There's only one winner that comes out of it. That's the way how life is. You know, if Matt and Jeff go into a job interview, they're going for the same job. One's going to lose, one's going to win. Not both of them are going to be hired. That's not how life works.
Exactly.
You don't get anything from that, you know?
Yeah. And that's what sports is supposed to be like, teaching you life values in a sports setting.
Yeah.
And I actually told my son to throw away his participation medals. But this is when he was 4 or 5. He was just like, the first one he got, he was just like, he was super excited. He was like, Dad, I got a medal. I was just like, what'd you do for that medal? And he was just like, I played. And I was just like, everybody played.
Oh my God.
It was just like this was the first real conversation I like actually had with him.
He was 4?
He was like
so
4 or 5.
This was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is 2014 is when it started. Now we know.
So he was just like, he just kind of looked sad at first. And I was just like, you know, like, why would you want a medal that everybody got that you didn't really
earn?
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of resonated with him because like the next time he got a participation medal, he just chucked it in the car and he was just like, I got another one of these participation medals. And I was just like, that a boy.
Yeah, that's how they learn, and that's a good conversation to have. I think a lot more parents should have that conversation, especially the way we're going in life. Because I don't know about you, but I'm noticing generation by generation by generation, we're getting a lot softer. We don't want to work as hard. We want everything now. We can't wait for 2 or 3 or 4 years. We got to have instant gratification. If we don't, we throw a fit. What do you think about the participation trophy stuff?
I'm completely against it. Like I said, I took my kid out of participation medal sports because I don't believe it steals the right value for kids. Because then, like, if you look at it, you have kids that are crying on the sidelines, wanting mommy all the time, and like for young men to develop them into men, they have to get away from the coddling all the time. There's a time and a place for it, but to learn how to be successful and how to grow up a little bit more, or maybe I'm making it grow up a little bit faster, but they need to be shown how to do things and how to do things properly, and just like giving you a reward just for playing the game is not, I don't think it shows you anything. It just shows you like, I can just show up and get something, get a reward. So like if I go to this interview, I'm gonna show up and I better get something,
Yeah, I don't agree with it either. It's kind of a crappy situation that a lot of people are getting put in too. And then you have mommy or daddy who are yelling at the coach because they're saying, well, how come my son or daughter didn't play? Well, they suck. That's, like I think we have to go back and instill that into it. You don't have to say they suck, but it's just like, hey, listen, Matt's doing better than Jimmy. That's why Matt's playing. If Jimmy would actually come to practice on time and Jimmy would come to the practices on Saturdays, which are non-mandatory so he can get better, maybe I would start Jimmy instead of Matt, and that I think goes back to the parents as well, correct? It
goes back to the parents, but it also goes back to the coaches as well too. Some of the coaches out there are not willing to have those conversations with mommy and daddy because mommy and daddy are paying for everything as well. And no one likes to tell somebody that their kid sucks or their kid's going to ride the bench for the year. But some of those conversations have to be had. And I think it does have to start at a young age. Yes, we want our kids to be active and get out there, but there's different leagues and different type of play. If you want your kid to kind of just play anything, go into more of those recreation sports. But if you want them to competitively, there are the club soccers. There's the Legion for baseball, and I think it's the King and the Snoop League for football.
Yeah.
You want to be more, if you want to get more competitive and not have that participation medal, those are where you got to funnel those people into a little bit more, and just have maybe if you want those participation medals, have somewhere where the kids can get an outlet for.
Do you think there's a time and place for participation trophies, or
I think when it's I don't think they need participation medals. 4 and 5, get high fives.
Yeah. There's your participation medal. Let me just give you a fist bump or a high five.
Dude, you know how powerful a high five is. When I'm done with my client, high five.
That's dude. Or a fist bump or a pat on the back.
Yeah.
Those amp me up.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, you squatted 135. It's you feel a rush.
Exactly.
I'd rather feel that than freaking a little medal that says thank you for participating. What is this? I used to throw away my bronze medal when I got medals in wrestling or anything else. This sucks. My grandpa's like, you're the second loser, right? I'm like, oh my God. I'm standing on the podium and he's like, you're the first loser, right? I was like, I got second. That's the first loser. I'm like, all right, dude. And then when I won first, he's like, attaboy, I'm like, shit.
I love grandpa right there.
But we just need to instill those core values as far as the coaches and parents. I think they it's a team effort, kind of like you and your wife. You guys are a team effort. to instill the values and morals of your kids, well, the parents and the coaches need to be a team as well and be on the same page. Like, hey, this is the way we're going to structure it. I just want everybody to be on the same page. Here's how we're going to run things. If you guys don't agree, let me know before season. Maybe we can talk about it and settle something. But this is how it's going to be. But you're right. Not a lot of people are on the same page. Coach does what he or she is doing. The parents do what he or she is doing. And then the kid is just running around in circles, not knowing what's going on.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Going back to hiring, your hiring process, because you were telling me. So what do you look for when you are looking to hire people for your shops, or you don't own a gym currently, right? You just...
Yeah, I sold that one in Nebraska at the beginning of this year.
Okay. So do you follow those morals and values as in the same way as you do in your shop and the gym, or is it different?
No, I actually do. Pretty much I run my business like a family-owned business. And that's what I tell everybody. I don't consider them like employees and stuff like that.
Right.
They're part of the family, like the Nutrishops family. Yes, they are expected to do their duties and have the base knowledge. And like my biggest thing is customer service. They have to have great customer service. If they're not having customer service, my customers will let me know.
Oh yeah, they will.
Yeah, so like that's the number one thing, and being able to have a knowledge base of what the products do inside of the body, and then we kind of like I can be able to teach from there, and kind of build that well-rounded like nutrition coach.
Right.
That's pretty much what I don't even call them like sales associates or anything. They're just coaches to be able to help support whoever's coming into the shop, because like some people don't know why they're getting this protein or why they're getting this pre-workout or why they're drinking BCAAs, or they don't even know what BCAAs are. So it's one of those things where I can help educate. And that's what I want to instill with those people, and like people who want to share their knowledge with the fitness industry. They don't even have to be involved in the fitness industry when they first get started.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just if they have that passion behind it,
right,
and want to help everybody get to their goal,
right,
as well.
Okay. I think that it's smart that you run it like that, because you have corporations, I'll go back, they treat you like kind of like a number,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So when you own a business and you run it like a family, it's different. It's warm and welcoming, instead of you're going into a number where no one cares about you. Here's your tasks for the day. You got to get that done before 5 o'clock. If not, you got to put in overtime. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, so and I think those businesses, especially the way you run yours, more family-based, because the facility I'm at, No Limit Personal Training out in Placentia, it's also run as a family business as well. Like it's very transparent. We can talk to each other about everything. And I think those businesses are the most successful when you're more transparent, when you go to outings together, when you go have drinks together, and you guys know what each other is going through, because you go into work and it's more warm and welcoming. And like besides here, where you're sitting next to a person and you've sat next to them for 5 or 6 years, the only time you see them is at Christmas parties, but you have no idea what each other is going through or what each other does in their life schedule. You know?
Exactly.
It's very important that I think people should or do run it like that, just because as a team, you'll grow better together, you know, overall.
I completely agree with you. Knowing that, like being involved with 24-hour fitness, the people who probably were with 24 probably know what it feels like to have that coldness, like because you have an employee number,
right,
that you always have to type in.
Mm-hmm.
But they, like when I was kind of on my way out, they were trying to change it over to more of a warmer feel of it. But after going from like the hard-nosed numbers, you got to have this number by this time, and why are you not here? Like it doesn't feel right, you know.
Right.
It just feels like it was forced.
Yeah,
know?
it's like it's kind of scummy. I don't like to use that word, but it's kind of scummy when you go in there. You're like, "Hey, you didn't meet. We're at the end of the quarter. You guys haven't met your deadline yet." It's like,
Exactly.
dude, I'm coming into work
Yeah.
with sweats and freaking a gym shirt.
Yeah.
Like, calm down. Like, my job is
Yeah.
to keep my clients happy. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so it's
And then it goes like you're not actually keeping your clients happy because then you're just like pressing them for like, all right, hey, I need you to pay this much this month because I got to meet my quota.
and then they're like, and then they reach the horrible end of the stick too because they're like, wow, he's actually what? Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go somewhere else if
Yeah,
he's gonna pressure
exactly.
me like this.
Yeah.
You know, so it creates this very negative domino effect from the top up. And that's why 24, LA Fitness, Fitness 19, all the corporate gyms that I ran like that, it's a revolving door. That's why they don't stay. People are like, well, why do you have 8 or 9 bosses? Well, that's why you instill horrible negativity. It starts up top and then it just trickles down to everybody all the way down to the client and they feel it too.
Exactly.
You know, so it's just that's why I gear towards smaller private businesses as well. It's you have that warm and welcome feeling and everybody knows everybody. Like your Nutrishops, the whole neighborhood knows who you are. You know, you probably know most of the kids around that area too, and like their parents, and they all come in and say hi and drop by, and it probably feels good for you too, right?
Exactly. Like we hold like 30-minute conversations to it. Like I had one person stay in shop with me for 3 hours.
What?
And we were just
3
like
hours?
3 hours. And we just went on about just like random stuff. And it was cool. But
It's a podcast in
Yeah,
itself.
exactly. But it was awesome to just even hear what he had to say and just kind of like know him besides what he gets from the shop. You know, I got to figure out his life and he got to figure out my life, and we built that relationship really. And that's what it's all about. When you're in the fitness industry, it's building relationships and helping people get to their goals. Like it's all about positivity. And I know there is still that veininess about this industry, but like I try to still keep it positive about it. There shouldn't be anything negative about it. Like we're having fun getting to our goals.
Right, exactly. Okay, so shop talk real quick. Like, because when somebody goes into a Nutrishops or they're trying to look for something, how do you gear them towards a certain supplement or why take this instead of that? Like, what do you? Because I don't know. I'm not nutrition certified. I don't know anything really about like BCAAs. I'm a coach. I'm good at my job as far as getting people strong, helping with mobility and flexibility. That's it. This is like on your topic though. So, because you have these things, right, where people are like, I don't take that. You don't need that, or you need this. Like, what do you say for those teeter totters, like that are one end of the spectrum and at the other end?
So I say this, like anybody comes in the shop, I can probably suggest pretty much everything in the shop for you to take. But what does your body truly need? So then I literally look at the InBody. We use the InBody at our shops to kind of see where your starting line is or your baseline's at. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of, if you want, do a meal plan off of there. If you're already set on your meal plan, then we just see like what the holes are in your nutrition to be able to say like, all right, you're going to benefit from this and this. And to help you out. Like if it's only one thing you're going to benefit, awesome. If it's 2 things, if it's 6 things, then that's what's going to benefit it. I tell people we live in a society that you're working longer and you're going to sleep later. So your body's going to need something. Like there's some people like, oh, you just need a protein and you'll be okay. I'm just like, well, what is that person's lifestyle? What is that person's diet like? And then we can see what they need. Are they getting adequate sleep? If they're not getting adequate sleep, I told you like sleep is important, but I barely get any sleep. I only get 6 hours. So I look at, all right, how much quality of 6 hours of sleep do I get? So that's where you can look at to be able to help benefit that person for that recovery section. So they can be able to do that next workout or play with their kids at the park or go to work and give 110%. Like those are the things that you got to look at and dive deeper into it. Like there's don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people out there that will just like, yeah, you can do this protein and this BCA and then just ring it up and have a nice day. That's not us. We want to really educate you and kind of meet you where you're at.
Because you have, because I've talked to a few coaches too, and they're like, I don't take any of that crap. You don't need it. Nobody should need it. And then you have, like I said, people on the other end of the spectrum were like, yeah, I need BCAAs. And you have here, BCAAs are a waste of time. So what do you say to that as far as like meeting in the middle, like especially with branched chain amino acids, because that's a huge thing too. There's people on both sides of the spectrum.
Right. So you can't argue with science, right?
Right.
So I tell people this, like, think of somebody that's working out in the morning, they don't eat, and so they're working out fasted. And all they take is a protein afterwards, let's say. So I asked them, so what are you going to do during the time you're working out? Because your body's breaking down the protein in your lean muscle, correct? And they're just like, well, yeah. And I was just like, how are you going to prevent that? Like, you can't argue with science. Like, they're just like, I don't know. I was just like, you're not eating. So your body's eating away. It's taking the leftovers from last night. But if you didn't have a balanced meal from last night, your body's smarter than you. It's going to go into your lean muscle where it knows it can take from and save your fat. So you're going to go into a fat storage. That's just basic science. So like, then I was just like, you want to prevent your body from doing that. So that's where those BCAAs come into play. You want to be able to prevent your body with the extra leucine and the other amino acids in there to help stop that process. So you can actually keep the lean muscle that you're actually wanting to build, that you're actually in the gym trying to build, and be able to have it and feed it afterwards with the protein.
Okay. I mean, I agree with you. It's just especially with the supplementation industry, like the supplements, everybody's on one side or the other side of the spectrum where they're just bashing at each other. There's both extremes, Would you agree that there is a time and purpose for supplementations and for supplements as far as when to take them and when you don't need them?
Yeah, there is. It's in its name. It's supplement. It's supplementing in what you can't get in through your whole foods. So I haven't met a person yet that has a perfect diet. I really haven't. That like stays on that consistently. So
you're true. That's
yeah,
very true. That's very, I don't even like
exactly. Yeah. I got 3 kids.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I wouldn't expect you to
either. So like I haven't met that person. When I do, I'm gonna shake his hand and ask him what's his secret, or her. I won't be sexist about that.
Right.
But yeah, like I know there's the far end of the spectrum, and when I first came out, like I was about being all natural. Like not a lot of people know this, but I refused to take any supplement because I wanted, like, all my friends were taking something and they were juicing, and I was just like, I don't want to do that. I want to do it all natural and say I did it myself.
Right.
I think that hindered me a lot because I was missing out on a whole bunch of nutrition that I didn't even know anything about nutrition. I would do what my coaches said. So he had gave us Big Macs before the game. So I ate 2 Big Macs before the game. Yeah. Or we'll go to like this pizza place and carb load on pasta the day before the game, wondering why I was so sluggish.
Yeah. I was like, how'd you perform?
Oh, it was awful, man. But it's like those things and myths that people like don't understand, but they hear about, like that wide stream information that they just hear and they just like take it and run with it.
Yeah.
And not really do the research. Yep.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is a supplement. So you're the first person actually to tell me that it's a supplement. You're just supplementing for what your body is needing that moment. Mm-hmm. What you're lagging, this can help that. It's not a permanent thing and you should change. Like if you're going to keep taking this sort of supplement, maybe you need to change something in your diet so you don't have to rely on this. for a long-term use, but you're the first person actually to say it how it is, and like it's because I always try to be neutral, right? I always try to look at both ends of the spectrum. Okay, well, he's this on this side and she's this on this side, but like, how do we meet in the middle? And that's something too on the fitness industry. It's like you have this famous person saying this works, and then you got this famous person trying to debunk what the other person said. They're both famous and they're both putting out content, but you don't know which one to go to or to look at or to listen to or whose plan to follow or it kind of sucks. Like we're kind of like in the middle of that.
Right. What's cool about it is like no one person is the same. So if one thing worked for one person, it worked for you in your lifestyle and where you're at this moment. But it may not work for somebody else that's completely different and at a different portion in their life. So like they may need something a little bit different. So that's kind of like we got to realize that aspect to be able to meet in the middle, and knowing that there's no one right way to do this.
Right.
You got to be able to be open-minded and just kind of figure out what's right for you.
Individualization.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it comes down to, and especially with the kids coming up, they're seeing these fitness models, quote unquote, on Instagram, try my meal plan. And I bought one. I'm not going to say who it's from, but I bought one. And it's like, you have to eat 6 ounces of chicken breast. You got to eat 6 ounces. I'm like, I'm 130 pounds. Are you going to give this same thing to somebody who's 230 pounds? Like, we're going to eat the same? Really? Like, how is that going to work? And it sucks to see. Like, you have all that horrible information on there.
I'm honestly like, not to bash anybody, but I'm sick of seeing those. Like, I'm like everybody, it doesn't fit. Like I can eat the same thing over and over. I can have like a half pound of turkey and rice and I'm fine. But that's not going to work for somebody who needs a little bit of variety and like gets sick and tired. They're not going to stick with that meal plan.
Right.
And then that's where I'm at. Like everybody's just like, oh, you got to eat this, this, and this, and just stick with that because it works. I was just like, no, make it fun, make it something interesting for that person to be able to stick with and create a lifestyle change and not just have this fad diet or this meal plan that they're doing.
Yeah, I think it's one, it comes down to laziness because the person putting out the content wants to make it easy on themselves and sell it for a quick buck. And It's usually what, $23 a meal plan, 23 times, I don't know, 200, how many followers actually buy their meal plans. They don't want to put in the work because you have 6 different people with 6 different body types that have 6 different goals and they have 6 different things that they want to accomplish within 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, 12 months. And it all is a variable depending on what their goals are and how much weight they want to lose upon X amount of time, right? So they don't want to do the work. And for that information to go out, I think it sucks because people feed to that. And I think we kind of need to, especially in the fitness industry, we kind of need to be like, hey, no. Let's come back this way. And for people putting out content, it's kind of shameful. And I get frustrated because, again, they don't want to do the work and they're being lazy about it. Because with my clients, so when I do semi-private training, right? So I'll take on 1 to 3 clients a training session per that hour. Do I have them do the same workout? Hell no. Every client of mine has their own individual folder with their own individual workouts, with their own weights, sets, repetitions, their own different tempos, their own different warm-ups. You know what? It sucks when I write it. It does. But at the same time, I would rather put in the extra time and effort for my clients so that they can get to their goal the best that they can and feel better about themselves. And so at the end of the day, I could be like, damn, I tried and we did very good. Then to be like, hey, all 3 of you, we're just going to hit ropes today. You're going to do the slams, do a couple squats, and we'll call it a day after 60 minutes, you know?
Yeah. But you know how many people do that? You just put value into what you do right there. Like that's why people come to you is like the value that you add, the detail that goes beyond any cookie cutter program that's out there. Sorry.
No, you're right. Because people do that cookie cutter program, and it sucks, So I don't know. We'll see where the fitness industry goes. You have to start within yourself, right? And talking to you, like you seem like a really good guy too. So we all have to kind of work as a team so that we got to expend X amount more energy between that person, but we're doing the right thing. And that's all that it comes down to at the end of the day is, hey, are you actually doing the right thing? Or are you just looking to make a quick buck off 200 different people?
It's literally, a lot of people figured out that a lot of people have a huge problem and they're so desperate that they're willing to try anything. So that's where they're prying off of those, and they're just like, hey, I got this solution. But it's just a real quick fix solution that you're like, think of it as putting a Band-Aid on something. You didn't really like heal the process. You just covered it so you don't notice it.
Yeah.
And then when you take it off, it actually gotten worse.
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there, but it's 10 times worse. So we'll see what happens with that over time, and we'll see what happens with that with social media too. So what's the next step now for Keevin? Like, what's your plan now? Because you got 2 shops. You opened one during COVID. Congratulations, by the way, because that is hard.
Yeah, you tell me.
So what's your next step?
Honestly, I was talking to my wife, and I was just like, I feel like I got this down pat, but I don't. I'm still working on, like, right when I think I have it down pat, I don't. But like what I'm truly working on is inside the store, building a more of a retention program, something that's actually going to add a little bit more value because we do the meal plans, we do the Embodies, we literally offer a service that's $300 plus for free. But I want to grow that even more. I want to like grow into the community even more. So like my whole thing is like letting people know what we do, what we're about, who we are. Like that's my next step of like really kind of like getting out there and helping youth athletes and like having them grow up with like some place that they can go and their parents can trust, that they're not going to just like give them anything and everything. And honestly, like being able to educate different leaders in the fitness industry. Like the reason why I took the fitness job at 24 was so I can be a coach to those younger trainers that are coming into the industry and give them an encouragement and kind of like let them know the mistakes I even made. I wasn't 100% correct on everything.
None of us were.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. And then my next question too, before we end this, so you're, how old are you again?
36.
You're 36. So let's fast forward 30 years, right? What do you want to instill in your kids as far as a father? Like, as far as examples, what do you want to set for your kids and be able to look at 30 years in the future and be like, wow, like I'm proud of them. Like, what your core values and your morals for them, for your future self, what would you give your advice to as far as being a good father and a good husband?
Pretty much if my kids were gentlemen, they held themselves with high stature and they were hardworking. Like that's what I want to see from them. If they have those 3 things, I know they can make it far.
Okay. Because they're going to be listening, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, hey, that's Dad, But hey, man, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me too.
We're going to have to do this again. But yeah, that's basically it. Where can people reach you? On Instagram, Facebook?
So Instagram, we have two handles, Nutrishops NB for the Newport store, and then Nutrishops Surf City for the Huntington Beach store.
Okay. And then your personal one? For training, online training and stuff
for
like that.
online training, it's Sir Keevin. I believe it's Sir Keevin Hardiman.
Yeah. You're gonna have to go back. Yeah, you're gonna have to go back and double check that, huh? All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Keevin. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, man. Bye, ladies and gentlemen.